secure same gender partners. We also have something very unique, which is a gender reassignment surgery support. So in case you recognize yourself as a different gender than what you were born into, Amazon supports the gender reassignment surgery. We also have something as gender neutral policies. Our policies are now being reworded wherein the gender specific he, she is getting replaced by they, it, and things like that. Last but not the least, in our corporate offices, we have something called as gender neutral washrooms. So that's that's one of few things that Glamazon as a whole is doing for the organization.
Thank you so much, and really nice of you to share all those initiatives. For the HR, it is music that people are aware about these policies and they are using it. And I would really encourage more and more diverse people to, come and join us and, make our organization truly diverse. Moving on, I think as we come to the end of this sessions, one last question to each one of you. I'd like to start by asking Venkat, what would be your typical day at Amazon look like? If you could just describe that, because a lot of people listening to the session today would be very keen to understand as to how is Amazon, as an organization, what does a typical day look like? And there are a lot of myths that can be broken by just hearing you today.
Of the work which you get to do in Amazon is just so amazing. Like, if I'm to take up maybe like tomorrow what I have in my calendar which I want to do, I think we are going to basically start with reading up customer anecdotes on the living room side. Basically, like people who watch Prime Video on their smart TVs, like what do they have to on, like, and it can range anything from like they're not able to switch on Prime Video, or the content is good, or some recommendation on some feature they want to do. That's the typical thing which we have seen. From there on, like I think the second meeting which we have is really for one of our businesses, really thinking about 3 years down the line how we want to do, because we have a long range planning which happens in from there on, like then we have a meeting on marketing plan launch for Umbrella, which is going to star Camila Cabello. That's something which I'm really look forward to reviewing how we are going to launch that. That's a worldwide Amazon original movie which we have. And finally, I also have one-on-ones with two of my teammates. So we use that to basically talk about the work and how I can help them unblock, as well as any other things which we want to discuss to make progress.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Venkat, for sharing that. Aditya, I might come to you next. You're setting up Kolkata VCS site and build the team with new hirings. Tell us what makes the new candidate stand out during an interview process at Amazon.
Sure. Thanks, Deepti. I think, because when we hire anyone at Amazon, we not only look at the current level that they're being interviewed for, but the capability to move to the next level as well. And considering that in mind, I think the following two attributes is what I look for in a candidate. The first is the ability to look for multiple paths to reach a goal. See, while the end result is very, very important, having multiple options to execute the solution is equally important for me. And as they say in Amazon, it is okay to fail and learn. It's a key trait in any leader or any future leader. That's one. The second ability that we look at is to know what a two-way door decision is. Two-way door decisions are very important as they're not permanent, and therefore, they can be reversed in case the expected solution is not being met. Speed of decision matters a lot at Amazon, and therefore it's very, very important for a nimble and swift in taking decisions that really result results.
Awesome. Great. Aruna, last but not the least, people who are listening to us today would like to know how to be an effective professional and team player in a virtual environment. So any tips you would like to share?
Yeah, actually, it's a bit difficult. I won't say I have any foolproof solutions because the borders of work and home have sort of blurred out completely, and there is no end time, and it's difficult. I mean, there's a lot of self discipline required, which I am trying myself to implement. I think just mandating those break hours sort of help, making that known, to your teams, or even applying it for your team sort of helps. Just give you that, that thing to just escape away from what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, try to find some interests or hobbies that you can easily exercise as you continue through home, and what really gives you that joy. So try to get some time out of it, at least during the weekends. I think these two sort of help you at least on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you so much, Aruna. But before you all leave, there is a set of rapid fire questions for all three of you. And as the name may suggest, the questions have to be answered immediately. So don't think too much about it and answer maybe just in a word of a couple of words. The first question would be, describe your journey with Amazon in one word.
Okay. Well, it's a phrase. It's work hard, have fun, make history.
Wow, yeah, that's the tagline too. Thanks so much. Aruna.
I would call it a roller coaster, honestly.
Okay, wonderful. Venkat?
I would call it fulfilling and satisfying.
Wonderful. In one line, if you had to tell us what do you love about working at Amazon, one word, one line.
Okay. Okay. At Amazon, we start with the customer and work backwards. So while we pay attention to competitors, we obsess over customers.
Wonderful. Aruna?
Yeah, just going by my experience, I think this organization has given me an opportunity to try out so many different things, which I have no absolutely background or experience of. And that's one of the areas that I really like about this company.
Wonderful. Venkat?
Learning new things every day, Dipti, like that's something which I love about Amazon.
Very nice. One thing that you hear newcomers at Amazon say about Amazon.
Okay. From my personal experience also, it's still day one. Amazon is all about unlearn and learn.
Wonderful. Aruna?
Yeah, a lot of newcomers complain to me there are too many acronyms that we use, and just I know there is no set page or document which really lists it down. So we do make it hard, and we do want them to figure it out by themselves. So yeah, too many acronyms.
Wonderful. What about you?
I had that acronym bit, but what I would like to call out is like newcomers have always told me that our onboarding training is really good. Like they really liked it. So that's been a consistent call out to me.
Wonderful. So we all have heard about Avengers and Justice League. Every employee at Amazon is a superhero in their own. So if you had to assign a similar name to your team, what would it be? Let's start with Venkat this time, and then Aruna, and then Aditya.
I would call them challengers.
Challenges. Okay. What would you, Aruna?
Actually not a Justice League type name, but I would call my team like Team Mosaic probably. I think we are all so different, differently colored, but when it comes together, it's a beautiful piece of tile or design. Every color brings out that uniqueness. So I think I would like to call it Team Mosaic.
Wonderful. What about you, Aditya?
So I'll call my team Hawkeye, always on target.
Wonderful. Very good. And this is the last, really final question. If you had to describe a typical day at Amazon through a song, what would it be? And you can choose English or Hindi, anything.
Okay.
Whoever wants to start.
Sure. I think I'll say the original soundtrack of Lakshya, Paega Jo Lakshya Hai Tera. Can't sing it.
I like the song Roar by Katy Perry. I think it really aptly describes, when you're down or when you're up and how you sort of react to those phases, and very inspirational song as well.
Wonderful. And
I had the same I would think of the same song as Aditya said, like the title song of Lecture, like it's just so apt.
Wonderful. So thank you all. I think it was so interesting to hear such diverse views. So thank you, Aruna, Venkat, Aditya, for taking out time, sharing your experiences. In fact, I'm sure the audience would have really taken away quite a lot of, pearls of wisdom from just listening to all of you. And I must say, I myself have, got so many interesting perspectives and so many interesting stories today. As they say, it's still day one. And stay tuned and have a good day. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for letting us take a sneak peek into your role, your interesting personal experiences at Amazon. That was quite enjoyable. Let us now get a close look at the operations side of the world at Amazon. Introducing you to Satish Kumar. Satish has a very interesting job profile at Amazon. Let's hear it directly from him.
என்னோட நேம் சதீஷ், என்னோட நேட்டிவ் தமிழ்நாடு. எனக்கு 2 பசங்க இருக்காங்க. என்னோட ஒய்ஃபு ஹவுஸ் ஒய்ஃபாக இருக்காங்க. ப்ரீவியஸாக ஒர்க் பண்ணிகிட்டு இருந்த கம்பெனி கோவிட் சுச்சுவேஷனால் லாக்டவுன் ஆகிடுச்சு. ஸோ அப்போது என்னோடய ஃபேமிலியை ரன் பண்ணுறதுக்கு எனக்கு ரொம்ப ப்ராப்ளமாக இருந்தது. ஸ்கூல் படிக்க முடியாத ஒரு சூழ்நிலை ஆயிடுச்சு. ஸோ அப்போ அந்த டைமில் அமேசான் எனக்கு ஒரு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி கிடச்சிது. இன்டர்பிரிட்டர் கரியரில் ஜாயின் பண்ணேன். நான் அது லாஸ்ட் 1 இயராக பண்ணிகிட்டு இருந்தேன். லர்னிங் அண்ட் டெவலப்மெண்ட்டுக்கு ஒரு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி இருந்தது. ஸோ இன்டர்வியூ அட்டென்ட் பண்ணி எனக்கு செலக்ட் ஆனதுனால இப்போது நான் எல்லா அசோசியேட்டுக்குமே லர்னிங் அண்ட் டெவலப்மெண்ட்டு கொடுத்துட்ருக்கேன். இப்போது இங்கே நிறைய பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் அமேசான் எங்களுக்கு கொடுக்குறாங்க. அப்போது அந்த டைமில் வந்து அமேசான் ஒரு ஈவெண்ட் அரேஞ்ச் பண்ணி எங்களுக்கு வேக்சினேஷன் வந்து என்னோடய ஒய்ஃப்க்கும் கொடுத்தாங்க. இங்கே அமேசானில் வேலை செய்கிறதுனால எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப சேஃப் அண்ட் செக்யூராக இருக்குது. நெக்ஸ்ட் 5 இயர்ஸ்க்குள்ளார நான் L&D மேனேஜராக ஆகணுன்னு எனக்கு ஒரு ட்ரீம் இருக்குது. அதை நான் சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக எடுத்துகிட்டு போவேன். எனக்கு கான்ஃபிடென்ஸ் இருக்குது சார்.
It's so good and humbling to see that people find their sense of purpose and happiness at Amazon even during the trying times. And to know more about Amazon India operations, we sit down for a chat between Akhil Saxena, Vice President Customer Fulfillment Operations, APAC, MENA and LATAM, and Swati Rastogi, Director of HR, Amazon India Operations, to know of the industry-leading practices to scale presence and how Amazon is creating multiple job opportunities across India, including smaller cities.
Hi, my name is Swati, and I'm really pleased here today to be here to introduce the first career day for Amazon India. I'm happy to introduce Akhil, who's here with us today. Akhil is the Vice President for APAC, MENA, and Japan, and we are really happy to have you here today, Akhil, to talk to us about various aspects of Amazon's building careers in Amazon. So looking forward to talking to you.
Thank you, Swati. It's a pleasure being here, and I feel very excited about it. At the same time, I'm nervous that I'm talking about people to a people person.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing because I think you're one of the biggest advocates of people and processes that I've seen. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot from you today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Akhil, I wanted to start with the growth that we've had in Amazon India. It's been an exponential growth, and you have had a ringside seat on it. You've actually watched it grow. We've done a lot for customers, for sellers, for the community. Talk to us about the growth opportunities for people, the job employment opportunities that Amazon has created during this time.
Yeah, it's a great question. If I was to think about it, we have been in India for about 8 years now. We celebrated our 8th anniversary a couple of months ago, and we have seen phenomenal growth in the business. And we are a very customer-obsessed company, so we work backwards from the needs of a customer and build solutions, product, processes, and so on. Along with this growth, to build all of this, we need people. So our philosophy has been to say that anybody who wants to come and work and wants to work in a challenging environment, wants to work in an environment where they can stretch themselves, they can challenge themselves, we have a lot of roles for them. If you look at it, over the last couple of years, we have hired hundreds of thousands of people in our businesses. And when I say businesses, I'm not just talking about operations, which is my business, but also the seller businesses, or whether I would look at payments, advertisements, advertising businesses. There are a lot of places where we have hired people, including customer service and so on. Therefore, the opportunity is there. And if you were to look at the kind of people or the kind of roles that are available to people, they would start at entry level and they go all the way up to the leadership level. If I speak very specifically about operations, as we build a network, we have invested in building the infrastructure for the network. And for managing the infrastructure, for managing the operations, we have hired people at entry levels from delivery associates or associates who basically pick and pack your items in the fulfillment centers to senior leadership levels. So whether it is top leadership, whether it's middle management, whether it is supervisors, whether it's team leads, associates, there are enough and more jobs that we have created over the last couple of years. And every month, if you go to our job website, you will see there are so many jobs even open today as we look at it. So the whole mental model of growth is not just for the business, but it's also about how do we provide a plethora of jobs across business lines, across levels for people in India. We have hired people who are delivery drivers, as I said. We have hired doctors. We have hired chefs. We have hired photographers for our photo studios. So the kind of roles that we have hired for is also very wide.
Awesome. This is just awesome to hear, right? I just wonder, when we hire across such a large set of people, there has been a journey on onboarding to make people successful in the culture that we bring to the table. What are your thoughts on that? How do we, do onboarding? What have you liked about it?
Yeah, I think the first piece is about where we hire from. And I think we hire from many cohorts and many walks of lives. I already gave you some examples of the kind of people that we have hired and we continue to hire. At the same time, we are also focused on hiring women. We are focused on hiring military veterans, members of the LGBTQ plus community, and also any unrepresented cohort that might be there in the country. So we do not differentiate. And as Amazon, we are an equal opportunities employer. We provide people the opportunity to come in and work in an environment which is very inclusive. So our job is to see that people who come in and work for Amazon from wherever they come. They might come from a very small town, they might come from a metro cities, they might come from any background. But we focus on ensuring that they have a very inclusive work environment and we build that diversity. Our customers are very diverse. Therefore, the kind of talent that we bring in is from a very diverse cohort. Once we have identified talent or once we have identified people who we want, as I said, our customers are also like we invent backwards for our customers. So it's a high bar. Our customers are constantly asking for more. Our bar on people is also constantly being raised, right? When we raise the bar, we select people, we work with them and see to it that they are successful in Amazon. So when you look at onboarding, which is the first step after the interview process, and the interview process is a high bar process. But once people come on board, as part of the onboarding, we ensure that they know exactly what they have to do. They are equipped with the resources that they are required to be successful. And we provide them the kind of culture, time, and space to learn before they go into an actual job. So during pandemic, we have seen a lot of things changed for the country, right? And maybe for the whole world, actually. So during pandemic times, the way we onboarded people, we brought in a lot of technology. We had virtual onboarding sessions. We had a lot of virtual meetings, meeting people, meeting peers, one-on-ones. We used Alexa to ensure that the technology was available for people to ask questions about their jobs or about the benefits or about how to do things, how to do travel, etc., etc. So leveraging technology, leveraging processes that we already have and modifying them to accommodate the needs that COVID threw on us, I think was something that we looked at last year. If I was to also look at it, onboarding doesn't mean that it ends after the first X number of days, maybe 30 days or 60 days. It's also about ensuring that the person has an opportunity to succeed really well at Amazon. And therefore, we have a lot of opportunities for them to have mentors, have one-on-one sessions with their peers, a buddy system. Even an associate who goes to deliver a shipment for our customers has a buddy for the first 3 days so that he or she can understand how to deliver it successfully.
You told me when I joined the organization, I remember, about your own onboarding. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I joined Amazon about 8 years ago, and my first few months, I actually spent in the US in a couple of stints of a few weeks each. And I unlearned a lot to learn a lot. The culture of Amazon is very different from companies, and I came in from a manufacturing and supply chain background. So I think I learned about how this company is so associate-centric, how it's so focused on people, and that hands-on learning helped me in good stead. So I did unloading of trucks for a couple of days to understand what's the experience that you go through when you are working as an associate. I worked as a shift manager. I ran as an area manager. I sat through peak calls to see how do you manage peak as a GM or as a vice president. And I thought the learning that was available to me, the resources that were available to me, and the kind of handholding that was provided was phenomenal. I mean, I learned so much in so little time. And this company is very open about helping each other. You will find people coming and saying, here's the information that you need, and if you need anything more, come and talk to me. And I thought I had not seen that kind of support systems anywhere else. So I feel very privileged to have learned it here at Amazon. And to learn something new, you might have to unlearn a few of your past. So I think it was a great experience.
And you've ensured that that's continued for all of us who come after you. So thank you.
I think that's something that's important, and it's also a leadership principle to be about learn and be curious. And I think learning is always a constant journey. So it's always exciting.
Thank you. You spoke about the high bar and how the bar keeps improving at Amazon on people. What's your experience on what we do on development, and how have you seen that evolve?
Yeah. I take my own personal example that when I came into Amazon, I was responsible for running the network, the operations network, and that was comprising of only one warehouse in Bhiwandi. And over the years, I think the company has invested in me, in helping me grow myself as a leader. And today I manage more than one geography, and I think that's the kind of growth that is available to everybody. And I'm sharing my personal example because everybody should be aware that the opportunities in Amazon are phenomenal. Right? Think of Amazon as a complex of multiple swimming pools. One of the swimming pools is called operations, and within operations, there are swim lanes. So you could have a fulfillment center experience, a sort center experience, a last mile experience, a supply chain experience, and these are all swim lanes within operations. But if you choose to go from one swimming pool to another, you could just walk across to the other in the same complex. You don't have to go far. So Amazon allows people to come in, learn, move around, rotate amongst different business lines. And that rotation allows them to explore their own personal interest along with what the business requires. So it's a good marriage between personal aspirations and what the business needs. And that rotation is not just limited to anything in India, it's a global rotation that's available. So there are short-term assignments where somebody could say, I want to go and work in an international assignment for a couple of months, and can the company manage that or help that? And we have short-term assignments there. And there are people who have career aspirations to say, okay, I need an international exposure. Can I go out of India, or can I go to Singapore, or can I go to Middle East, or can I go to US? And those opportunities are available. At the same time, it's not just about rotation. It's also about the mentorship that one receives. I've sat through many meetings, and every time I sit in the meeting, there's so much to learn from each other because the quality of talent here is so phenomenal that your learning curve is already very accelerated. When you are sitting with people who have a very high knowledge level and intellect level and have the ability to ask the right questions, your learning starts getting accelerated. And I think that's the beauty of staying in Amazon, working in Amazon. The other pieces are a lot of products that are available for learning, whether it is structured training, whether it is being part of programs and projects, cross business projects. And the fact that you can go from operations to business to some other work allows you to develop yourself in multiple dimensions.
That's awesome. And I'm just thinking, when we're talking of development, this is one organization which is constantly encouraging people to figure out what they want to do next, even while they're doing their current job, which is quite unusual from most other organizations that many of us grew in.
Very unique.
So how do you feel that really plays well for the organization in just telling people, apply for whatever you want to apply?
I think there is so much happening in this company, right? And so many business lines, whether it is AWS or any business that you look at, operations, consumer, devices, digital, seller services, anything that you look at, there's so much happening. There's so much innovation that's happening because we are inventing on behalf of our customers. So we are working backwards from customer needs, what do they need? And that innovation allows people to get attracted to say, oh, maybe I want to go and work in something which is exciting happening in machine learning or artificial intelligence or something like that. The company feels that, look, if you have an aspiration and you believe that you want to go and try something, we shouldn't hold you back. Therefore, it's quite okay for a person to come in and work and say, I want to do something different. And I think the company encourages people to say, if you really want it, and if it's not disruptive to the current business, please go ahead and look at those roles. I was visiting some of my operations last week, and I went to a delivery station, and I must share this episode with you. And I met a team leader who introduced himself, and then the manager of the team leader basically told me that this person used to be a delivery associate a couple of years ago. And from there, he became a supervisor and he became a team leader, and he now manages the station over the weekends when the manager is not there. For me, that's inspiration to say how people can grow vertically. And then the other day, I was talking to somebody in the sort center, and he came in from a military background. He was flying helicopters for the Indian Air Force. He came in from the Indian Air Force, came in flying helicopters, comes in and runs a sort center for us. So there are many examples of how people with different backgrounds can come in, succeed, and move from one role to another without worrying about saying, oh, I'm slotted only for this business line.
Awesome. And, I must tell you on this note that there's an interesting pilot that's going on where we are trying to figure out how could we offer opportunities to people to learn coding if they don't have background in it, and they've joined us maybe as customer service associates, as associates in our building. So we're really looking forward to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, I think we have so much opportunity here. And I think it's a canvas that you can choose to paint with the colors you want. The canvas is there. I think it's up to our own aspirations, our own dreams to say what we want to do. And I think the company helps us to live our dreams. So that's the best part about it.
On that note, I'm just wondering, right? It's one thing to keep developing people to meet our current need, but the kind of growth we have and the kind of size and scale that we operate in, how do we make sure that we are constantly thinking of getting our people and our organization future ready?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the fundamental piece is around our leadership principles, right? If you look at our leadership principles, we now have 16. People imbibing and understanding and living those leadership principles is, I think, the foundational part about being future ready. Jeff Bezos also talked about that the fact that our customers are going to be always divinely discontent. And what was a wow factor yesterday will become ordinary today. Now, if you have to keep pace with that kind of change, if you really want the organization to continue to be ahead, then you really need to look into the future. And looking into the future is not about saying, oh, I'll do something very nice and colorful. It's about saying, what's the projected need? What is it that we have to look around the corner? What is it that the customers are going to ask for? What is it that is happening in the environment around us? And within Amazon, I think with the things that we use with technology, especially around technology, there's so much opportunity for people to start saying, oh, that's interesting for me. So I know people who have gone from operations into consumer business, and I know people who have gone from operations to run devices operations. And therefore, there's a lot of opportunity for people to look into the things that might be not visible here today, but might be big items tomorrow. The future readiness also comes in from building that muscle around innovation and invention. We are a company of owners and innovators. So all of us in this organization are owners. And as owners, you would always want to delight your customers. And part of the delight comes in from innovating on their behalf. And when you innovate, you learn. When you learn, you grow. And I think that's the best part about it.
Finally, it's beginning to make sense to me. I remember my first day on the job, and I walk into the office, and there's a member of my team who's supposedly doing learning and development, and I come from human resources. And the individual comes and tells me, I'm here for the next 5 days, but I'm moving into Amazon's studio business to run one of their business verticals. And I kind of stopped in my tracks saying, what exactly happened here? So it's really interesting to see what this organization really, takes us to and how we grow. One of the things I've always respected about you, Akhil, is the significant allyship that you've had on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You've been a strong advocate and ally, and you've kind of literally held it personally to make sure that this organization stands for DEI. Talk to us about that. Why?
The why is very simple in my mind. It's the right thing to do. There's nothing beyond that. It's the right thing to do. So when I joined Amazon in operations many years ago, we had just a few women in our operations team. And today we have hundreds and thousands of them, not just in operations, but across the whole business. And warehousing, logistics, trucking, transportation, delivery are all traditionally seen as male-dominated business lines. And for me, there's no differentiation between what a woman can do and what a man can do. And I think that's a fundamental tenet for us. And I think the company allows that tenet to be seeped through everybody. Everybody knows that. We are an equal opportunity employer. So we started on this journey, and I think it's a bit of a culture change. It's a bit of training and educating people to say this is the right thing to do. But I've been very fortunate to have leaders on my team, and you included, who are allies to me. So when you say ally, I would say there are so many more who are force multipliers for us in this journey. Today, we have thousands of women in our operations, not just within our building. There are women who go out and deliver. We have 4 delivery stations which are managed only by women. We have, and the service partners, we have transgenders who manage delivery stations all by themselves. We have military veterans. I'll give you an example. We have this example of Colonel Tarun Vora. He retired from the military, from the army after 20 years. And within the army, he worked in Kashmir, in the valley, in counterterrorism operations. He went to Lebanon on a UN mission. He was an instructor at IMA. And he also commanded a very elite rocket unit in the Western Front. And today he runs a SOT center for us in NCR. It's one of the largest SOT centers. And by working with military veterans, we see that the discipline, the passion, the commitment to our customers and their commitment to the nation is not even questioned, right? It's beyond question. And I think that's the leverage that we have. We work very closely with the government, AWPO and DGR, to hire military veterans into our operations. Similarly, when I talk about opportunities, we are not talking about only opportunities within our own ecosystem, but also our partners. We have a program called I Have Space. We have a program called Delivery Service Partners. We have got a program which is EDSP. So we have many programs where partners come in. And these programs, by the way, are all job and opportunity creation opportunities for them. These are entrepreneurs, small and medium entrepreneurs who come in and they want to do something, live their dreams, and we help them. So I'll give you an example of this lady. Her name is Manisha Gupta. She's from Gorakhpur. And she has been a partner on the IHS program for the last 4 years. She has 2 children. 4 years ago, her husband met with an accident and his earning capacity was impacted. So Manisha partnered with the IHS program, which is basically saying they can, in their spare time, she could come in and deliver packages for Amazon. What started off as a small side business and an additional income now becomes a much larger focus for her. And now with this source of income, she has been able to see that there is financial independence for her, financial stability for her, and good schooling for her 2 children. Now, for me, that's inspiring to say, here's a woman who had to go and do something different, but we were able to encourage her to go and deliver for Amazon, something that you would traditionally not see. And I'm talking about Gorakhpur, which is a city in the interior India. So I would say there are many examples like this. And for us, the ability to change their lives in a positive manner, there's nothing more fulfilling than that. I mean, there's nothing more inspiring. That's yours to keep. Very recently, during Pride Month in June, I had an opportunity to talk to a transgender in our fulfillment center. This was based on a concept of the human book, where you could talk to somebody and they would share their own life experiences. And you would not pass judgment, but you would really try and understand to say, what was their life? And she spoke about how difficult her life was before she came to work for Amazon. She talked about the challenges in her family, in the community, how she had to do different kinds of roles, and they were not fully satisfying for her. And when she got this opportunity to come and work for Amazon, she felt so secure. She felt that, look, this was a place where she really wanted to go and grow. And it was very humbling for me as an experience to hear her story and understand how much of an impact we can make. And I think we are still scratching the surface. So I think All of these examples that I quoted are examples which inspire me to say, if this is what we could do, what could we do with so many more people just doing the same thing? So that's the reason of why.
I love your humility. I know you were probably leading the space in Amazon on the speech and hearing impaired program that you run, and on maybe paving the way of actually having people with learning disabilities join our network for the first time. So I really appreciate that passion, and that makes me come to work every day, honestly. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. I mean, a lot of people have worked to see how we can have folks with hearing and speech disabilities to come in and work with us. They're differently abled. They have their ability to do the normal work, but they're just differently abled. And I think when we started off, we learned, now we have sign languages that our area managers are learning. We have signables that we are utilizing. So we have hearing and speech impaired people working for us. We also have people with other disabilities. And I would say PWDs are people who bring in very special skills. They have their own abilities. And I think we should just continue to encourage them.
Thank you. Why should people join Amazon?
I'll answer for myself. It's an amazing roller coaster. If you like challenges, if you like excitement, if you want to do what you have never done before, this is the place to come. This is the place to come. The company, the culture allows you to invent, innovate, experiment, try, fail. I must have failed so many times, but I'm still here. And we have a safety net to say, if you fail somewhere, learn and then go and pick yourself up and go and do the next experiment. This is also a place where you build a legacy. 8 years ago, Amazon in India was not even known to most of the people. Most of the country didn't know about Amazon. But today it's a household name. It's a generic name. And it's not as if that everything that had to be done is done. There's so much more to do. But the opportunity to create a legacy, the opportunity to make an impact is there with every single person across any level that I would say. And I think that's the most inspiring part of it. The ability to wake up every day morning and say, I have 5 big problems to solve, and then come to work energized about that. What else? How more exciting can life be?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now comes my favorite part, because I get to ask you rapid fire questions.
Oh, let's go with that.
A movie that best describes Amazon's working day.
Mission Impossible, and then I would say Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara.
3 words that describe Amazon's workforce.
Passionate, customer obsessed, very talented.
A song that describes the journey of Amazon's package from our center to the customer.
Shuru tumse, khatam tum tak, safarnama.
Awesome.
And the reason why I said this is because for me, this embodies the joy of a seller, the aspirations of a seller, and the journey of the package from a seller to the customer doorstep and the delight that the customer has. I think this entire journey is summed up in the song.
This is a very different take for me. So, it starts with joy and ends with joy. That's
Absolutely.
Just phenomenal.
Absolutely.
If you were authoring a book on Amazon's network, what would that be? What would the title be?
Brick by brick, inch by inch.
Wow, that's super awesome. Akhil, it was such a pleasure having you here today. Thank you so much. And I hope there are many more people today who are listening to you who would love to join Amazon and get this opportunity to work with you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Swati. It was a pleasure being here and engaging with you. Thank you so much.
That was an amazing session. Thank you, Akhil and Swati, for such an inspiring one. It is particularly interesting to hear of the inclusive hiring strategy. I especially made a note of the fact that Amazon's delivery service partners operate 4 all-women delivery stations across India, fully run by women, and 1 silent delivery station in Mumbai with opportunities for speech and hearing impaired associates. Inspiring. Moving on from here, do you know India is the 2nd largest technology hub for Amazon? Indian talent is powering innovations for India as well as globally. Up next, we have a powerful panel discussion with some of our engineering minds to know how Amazonians are working on disruptive technological innovations from India that impact customers and businesses in India and globally.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anil Warrior, and I lead the talent acquisition team for AWS in India. I would like to welcome you all to this session where we talk about the pivotal role of technology across Amazon. Amazon's journey for the close to 2 decades in India have been made possible by the huge contributions from employees we have hired, who are led by the desire to deconstruct, create, and innovate on behalf of our customers. From the very beginning, Amazon has been an early proponent of technologies such as AI, ML, Alexa, cloud, and many more. Today, at the first Career Day event in India, we have the pleasure of bringing some fellow Amazonians to discuss a few areas they are working on these technologies that is impacting businesses and consumers alike. I now have 3 panelists with me. I will go around and introduce them. First is Nikhil Rasivasya. He's a senior manager with the Applied Sciences team in Amazon India. Nikhil has published several papers and also has received the Best Paper Award in Asia Multimedia 2010. At Amazon, Nikhil's team is responsible for leveraging ML to tackle problems in the areas of catalog quality, shopping experience, and product design insights. My second panelist is Deepa Balakrishnan. She's a senior manager with the Alexa Experience team. Deepa leads the India Customer Engagement Charter for Amazon Alexa, the voice service that powers Amazon's Echo and Fire TV products. She and her team work to drive awareness of what Alexa can do to customers, create new engaging experiences, and provide a defect-free, delightful voice experience that customers enjoy. My third panelist is Kanishka Agarwal. He's part of the public sector organization in AWS India, and he heads India and South Asia for the service lines. At Amazon, Kanishka works very closely with public sector, central and state government, education, health sectors, not-for-profit organizations, travel, and a bunch of PSUs to drive AI at scale for citizen impact. Thank you, Nikhil, Deepa, and Kanishka joining us for this discussion. With digital taking a center stage in our lives in this new normal, access to technology has become an essential today. Deep customization enabled by cutting-edge technologies have become critical in order to design an enhanced and value-added customer experience. This brings to me my first question to you, Nikhil. As the ability to deliver more and more sophisticated digital experiences has evolved over a period of time, the expectation and the demand from the customers have also gone the same way up, isn't it? From brands they engage with across retail, media and entertainment, travel, hospitality, and many more. Can you tell us how ML has come to play such a central role at Amazon?
You're right, Anil. Machine learning today has become a household phrase, and at Amazon, we are indeed using machine learning to help deliver highly personalized experiences. This is resulting in improvements in both customer engagement and satisfaction. For instance, consider the diversity of online shoppers in India. There are more than 600 million people online in the country with varying degrees of expertise to shop online. They use diverse range of mobile devices, experience fluctuating speeds due to congested towers or tower switching, etc., etc. So we have deployed models to predict customers who are on a slow or a spotty network based on criteria like device characteristics, cell tower information, and the latency of the last request, and so on. So for such customers, we provide an adaptive experience and serve streamlined pages with a lower number of widgets that are easier to navigate. Search is another area. It's a single biggest facilitator of product discovery for a customer at Amazon. Here, key challenges ML is helping with include understanding the query semantics, segmenting queries, identifying phrases and brand mentions in the query, correcting spell errors, supporting colloquial usages like juta, classifying the query into categories, and so on. Our search ranking algorithms display relevant products while concurrently optimizing multiple other objectives. For example, delivery speed, the quality of the product, the price competitiveness, etc. Besides, machine learning solves common problems like popularity bias, which is when a customer is merely shown the most popular product versus what is relevant for them, and a cold start problem, which is when the system has no user, item, or content history. So it's not able to make the right judgment call, which dilutes the customer experience and the ability to discover new items or new content in the catalog. Similarly, in the Amazon app, to make selection accessible in vernacular languages like Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, and Malayalam, we have built statistical and neural machine translation models to automatically translate large volumes of product content. As a result, today, when a customer visits Amazon.in, each customer sees their own Amazon. Not only text, but to adapt Alexa, which is what a lot of customers today engage with and enjoy using. We wanted Alexa to operate in Hindi. So to interact in Hindi, we have created extensive data in the form of raw speech from multiple speakers. Another factor which has enabled machine learning to reach masses is the distributed and scalable architecture to train and deploy ML models.
Hey, thanks, Nikhil. Deepa, coming to you, how is Alexa actually helping customers interact more intuitively using their voice?
So I think the most natural interface for us to use and as a child is our voice, right? So it's making the most complex things really, really simple when you can just ask for help. And Alexa is sort of the future in fundamentally changing and improving the way. And voice just removes a lot of the barriers that are there to technology. As Nikhil was talking about just a little bit ago, we are seeing that shift within the Amazon shopping app today. We have customers on the app who use their voice to make purchase experience easier. People are searching and learning more about products. They are navigating to the pages that they want to, finding deals, making bill payments, all much, much faster using voice. And in fact, last Diwali, we had shared that over 1 million customer requests had come to Alexa for support during the prime early access. And we've only been growing since there. The change that we are seeing or the intuition is not just on voice shopping. There are hundreds and thousands of customers all across India who've purchased Echo devices. They are interacting millions of times in English, Hindi, English, again, as Nikhil talked about, the Hindi model training, etc., and asking for a variety of inputs, music, information, jokes, and smart home. And these are not just customers who come to us from the metros like Delhi or Bombay, but these are also from smaller cities like Spiti, Bandi, Gadchiroli. And creating this experience for them has required us to do a lot of in-country innovation. The first thing is India is unlike any other country. It's almost it is a subcontinent. So the language changes every 100 kilometers. Each language has accents and idioms. So when we first launched, Alexa needed to understand like the nuances and context of every customer's speech that's going to happen. And we had to unlearn a lot of things that we'd learned from the US. So even if the customer doesn't speak English very well, not very grammatically, you could ask for any regional song and Alexa needed to play it. And that's the moment of customer delight that Alexa would bring. And that's where the intuition comes in, where Alexa is able to understand what the customer is saying, even if the customer is not saying it perfectly and grammatically. And from the time Alexa launched in India, she could understand proper nouns in Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Kannada, and so on. And we focus on relentlessly improving this year over year because that's a primary aspect of delight. And it's not complex, high-tech stuff. There's also a lot of fun ways. We've got brands and developers who want to engage with users via voice, with very personalized and immersive engagement experiences. We have over 30,000 skills on Alexa that cover the gamut of the ABCDE consumption: astrology, Bollywood, cricket, devotion. And Alexa is now an integral part of many Indian households. And the voice interactions just lower the barrier to embrace technology across all age groups. And we just want to continue innovating on behalf of our customers to make Alexa more relevant and useful and intuitive.
Thanks, Deepa. Kanishka, coming to you, the technologies that Nikhil and Deepa were referring about for the last few minutes were actually required a lot of scalable infrastructure to handle the workloads and provide the best customer experience. Now, from an AWS perspective, Kanishka, can you just explain how AWS is playing a role in enabling startup focus in the business while AWS manages their infrastructure needs?
Sure. Thanks, Anil. The way we look at the entire gamut of startups, and our focus has been since 2019 that we will go ahead and support early stage startups, especially those that are helping government customers accelerate their mission. And if you look at the way government customers typically build their entire mission statements and their solutions, they require not just nimble startups, but startups that can have a very cost optimized architecture. People that can scale up and scale down, because the way you see demand coming in, especially for public sector, it could move up and down based on how it is being consumed over a period of time. So, startups are required to bring in a very robust, scalable architecture, at the same time keep it lean because they want to keep their costs low as they start scaling up. And that's where I think Amazon Web Services step in. We do have an extremely cost-effective model to provide startups access to all of these on-demand compute resources on a pay-as-you-go model. I mean, think of it today just like electricity, right? When you switch on a switch for a bulb, you essentially pay for only the time that you consume that electricity for, and the minute you switch it off, you don't pay for it. And that's very similar how AWS and the pay-as-you-go model works. And we are dedicated to help our startups achieve what we call as the highest saving potential on the technology spends. Just about recently, we actually launched the AWS Startup Ramp, which is an acceleration program that will help these early stage startups to develop innovative solutions for public sector customers. And this is not just limited to a set of public sector organizations, but it will span across the national and the local government bodies. It will go across space, defense, healthcare, agriculture, name it. But anything that is out there for citizen impact, the Amazon Startup Ramp program will help. With this program, you can actually have all of these qualifying startups start getting low cost, very simple to use infrastructure that's designed for them to scale up and scale down, as well as grow a business at any point in time. During the entire development phase that we saw during this program, we actually worked with several startups, and some of them, especially in the agri space, for example, TraceX or Unmiti, or for example, a fintech startup, which was Whirl. All of these were very focused on extremely distinct needs that the government technology sector needs. Because these startups are so unique, as AWS, we do want to make sure that they're able to scale up and drive citizen impact.
Yeah, thanks, Kanish. But so do you manage the enablement and scale innovation yourself, or do you work with external partners? Do you have some view or examples on that?
Sure. So this works both ways. In a lot of senses, we actually partner with organizations, including government bodies, to drive scale. Take, for instance, last year, we actually set up one of our world's first Federal Cloud Innovation Center with Niti Aayog, which we christened as a Frontier Technologies Cloud Innovation Center. And what that really does is it addresses the core mission of identifying and deploying leading edge technologies. Take ML, take blockchain, take IoT, take AR, VR, all of these technologies being deployed at scale for citizen impact. As a specific example, in fact, Niti Aayog now, under the aegis of the CIC, as we call it, the Cloud Innovation Center, collaborated with the DigiYatra Foundation for a DigiYatra Central Ecosystem Challenge for Indian startups. And maybe this is interesting because a lot of you do travel domestically as air passengers. Today you use a boarding pass to get into an aircraft, navigate through the entire airport. But slowly you will be able to use just your face as a biometric validation. And it's a real-time selfie-based facial recognition that will get a seamless, contactless, safe, frictionless travel across the point that you actually enter an airport to the point you disembark during your travel. Take the pandemic itself, and during both the waves, actually, more so during the first wave, NASCOM actually got in touch with us and said, can we actually put out a data platform that can just provide information across those various government data sets or public/private data sets that were coming in and provide insights of what's happening. And we did that with the government of Telangana. We put out close to about 100 dashboards, which had hundreds and thousands of COVID-related data points for use. And this became a huge NASCOM project for us to showcase. Similarly, during the first wave, there was a lot of restrictions in the way movement of goods and vehicles used to happen. And the e-Governments Foundation collaborated with us to develop what we called as the National COVID-19 e-Pass solution. And this was really put out in 72 hours. And that should tell you the scale in which cloud really works. That within 72 hours, we were able to get a digital pass management system that was deployed across multiple states. And while there was a lockdown, it could still ensure smooth movement of any essential service provider across or within the states. When the second wave happened, we were faced with a very unique problem. There was a lot of donor aid that was coming in from, and this is foreign donor aid, which is coming into the country. And people had no way to track it. So when the donor would send in, they had no way to know whether it reached the end beneficiary. The government by itself had a lot of siloed views of this donor aid coming in, and they had no idea where should they allocate it. Was it the right place to send it? Did they have to send the concentrators to a particular location? Or did it have too much of it and it had to be rerouted elsewhere? And Niti Aayog got in touch with us and said, can you actually put out a relief portal that will have an end-to-end monitoring of this supply chain and tracking of all of this aid? And in about 5 days, we put out something called the COVID, which was a relief portal that had an end-to-end flow of the aid. It was able to determine who got it. And therefore, the donors actually had confidence that their aid finally reached the necessary beneficiary or the recipient, and it was most gainfully employed. Going a little ahead, outside of the pandemic, we today work with the Common Services Center. And you'll find several of these, not just in tier 1 or tier 2 cities, but across all of the nation. And there are, I believe, about 2 lakh plus of these Common Services Center that drive a lot of citizen services at grassroots level. And they have access points basically for all of their essential public utility services. Think of social welfare schemes. Think of any services related to land records, healthcare, finance. So people could go in and use these places. And now today we are enabling the Common Services Center with our services to help them scale up each of these solutions. And not just that, also provide some gainful employment for the rural economy of the country. And to finally cap this, earlier this year, we actually worked with the Ministry of Electronics and Information IT. This was METI, that helped establish what we called as the Quantum Computing Applications Lab. And this is, again, something we wanted to see that can accelerate quantum computing-led research to drive new development, to enable new scientific discoveries. So Anil, to your point, yes, there are a number of these institutes as well as government bodies that we today work with to drive citizen impact.
Thanks, Kanishk. Coming to you, Nikhil, Kanishka was just mentioning about some of the citizen services provided during the pandemic. Now, from your space in terms of AI and ML, and where we have an expertise for more than 2 decades now, can you share any recent example where the team worked on that actually helped during the pandemic, both the waves?
Yeah, no, I mean, the last 18 months, right? I mean, we have focused on areas, that would keep people safe. So, I mean, the whole intent was that, the business still needs to run, people still need to get things. And, how can we do that in a safe way, right? And how do we help people get what they want during these trying times, right? So I mean, we have been focusing on a couple of applications, both how do you enable safer delivery and also keep our employees safe. So one very interesting app I would give an example of is the CRISP mobile app, right? So we developed CRISP, which stands for COVID Risk Score Prediction. It's a mobile app to detect and tackle the spread of COVID-19 amongst the workers in the fulfillment centers and sorting centers and so on, right? So this app uses Bluetooth signals from mobile to track social contacts between users, and it generates a risk infection score for every employee. So if an associate which has a very high risk score, you can prioritize them for testing, right? So the model was built off the SEIR, which stands for Susceptible, Exposed, Infectious, Removed approach. That's commonly used to track different epidemiological status of individuals. So our model captures the transition between these different states from susceptible to exposed to infectious to removed, while also accounting for the test outcomes. And a lot of ML went behind making sure the outcomes are reliable and confident. So we developed a block Gibbs sampling algorithm to draw samples of the latent infection status of each individual, given data about contacts and test results. And these infection status samples are then used to compute infection risk score for each individual. So the goal was to track adherence to social distancing of our associates in various locations, like, again, as I said, fulfillment centers, sort centers, or delivery stations. So this allowed the supervisors to take appropriate interventions.
Yeah, thanks, Nikhil. I just want to continue with you. And it was interesting you called out social distancing. I think that's one of the mantras of our life nowadays. So I just wanted to understand about areas where ML has integrated into our system and some kind of a impact, small or big, for customers positively. An example of an area where your team in India would have worked with other teams across the world in Amazon.
Yeah, machine learning is, sometimes integrated so well into the system, and it works so seamlessly in the background that, the customers are not even aware that a machine learning system was used to provide that experience that they are observing, right? But it becomes an essential part of the entire ecosystem. For example, we enrich products in an automated fashion to improve the catalog health, right? A lot of people list products on Amazon, and then a lot of information is provided. If the information is not in the right structure, or if information is missing, it leads to dissatisfaction at the time of purchase. So we build models to categorize products, and behind the scenes, make sure it's in the right category. Information such as the RAM size and the color, the material, and all that, which is useful for customers to filter products. Make sure those are all filled in. So this all happens behind the scenes, and it's all powered through machine learning, right? So in fact, both these solutions I'm talking about, we launched 2 projects for the same, and they were launched worldwide. While we have made great strides in this direction, we are constantly looking for newer ways to continue to double down our efforts in developing technologies to continuously innovate and build the best shopping experience for customers by working backwards from their needs.
Kanishka, coming to you, can you tell us how AWS services in developing innovations have really made a citizen impact at scale in this country, specifically during the pandemic?
Sure. And I think we've seen this especially during the pandemic, right? And it's been a massive shift in the way scale has come into bear. Look at the entire vaccination program, or look at the entire COVID triaging, the post-COVID house monitoring programs, and so on and so forth. I think more and more public sector organizations have had a chance to see how cloud technologies can help accelerate their digital transformation, and how they can drive innovation much faster to benefit citizens and in turn the national economy. Take, for instance, the project Step One, and we're extremely proud of having worked with them and continue to work with them. Project Step One really was born out of the pandemic. This is a non-profit, volunteer-led initiative that really augments existing government resources with either technology, people, or processes. This has about 1,000 plus doctors enlisted, about 5,000 plus volunteers enlisted on them. And what it does is it goes ahead, it integrates with the government processes and systems and provides appropriate telemedicine support for COVID-affected citizens. And all of this is free of charge to the citizens. It's pro bono to the government, which goes to my earlier point, right? That then any startup that needs to provide services, especially for citizen impact, needs to keep their costs low. And in this case, well, when the service is offered for free and pro bono, then there is a bigger pressure coming in on keeping their entire infrastructure extremely nimble. Now, since about March 2020, Step One has worked in about 21 states. They've gone ahead, done things like pre-COVID triaging, COVID positive triaging, home isolation monitoring, and then further on long COVID support. And their entire technology stack is today hosted on AWS Cloud. And that's only because, one, it offers the best-in-class tools, and it's managed services which are very essential for an organization like Step One. And you would say, well, what's so unique about step one, right? You could have this hosted anywhere else. The key USP is that step one has not a single DevOps person. It probably has one or two volunteers that manage the IT deployment. But beyond that, there are no DevOps persons. So everything is out of the box on AWS. And that becomes a quick agility that Step One has to react very quickly to either the rise in cases or the fall in cases. So when the second wave went up between that April-May timeframe, Step One was able to ramp up very quickly on this infrastructure. But then as it started tapering down and as it started falling, it was able to quickly scale down as well and start saving costs. And that's where we provide those managed versions for any open source software that is out there to deploy and scale.
Hey, thanks. Coming to you, Deepa, Nikhil was mentioning about training data and algorithms that were created in Hindi. Can you tell us something more about how Alexa is catering to a faster growing user base, which probably is more comfortable in engaging in native languages?
Absolutely, Anil. When we started out, as I said, we had to understand content in all the different languages, and we now support news experiences in multiple languages, multiple regional languages: Tamil, Telugu, Urdu, Marathi, Bengali. And one of the biggest steps that we took was actually to support Hindi interactions itself. And this happened about late 2018 or so. And Alexa could then understand customers who were speaking to her completely in Hindi or in English. And English was important because Indians speak in mixed languages. There's a sentence in English or a sentence in Hindi. And we wanted Alexa to be able to interact with all family members and reply either in English or in Hindi based on who is speaking to her and in what language. And we built this support by a bilingual ASR system. And this is what we call as Alexa's multilingual mode. So you could have one question in Hindi, one question in English, and Alexa would seamlessly switch between the two to keep the conversation going. And we also needed to understand a lot of cultural and subcultural context within Hindi. So we started seeing content requests that were unique. We had to support Haryanvi music, which we'd not really encountered at scale earlier. We created content such as Shairi, which was like a whole new segment of content that we'd not had earlier. And today, customers can say, Alexa, Bollywood ke latest gaane bajao, ya cricket score batao. And despite having mixed script in there, it all just works very, very well. And it goes back to creating like this intuitive experience for a native speaker. And one of the most recent things that happened, which was just last week, is the availability of Amitabh Bachchan's voice now on Alexa. And he's the biggest icon on Indian cinema. Most Indians can recognize his voice. And we have poems, anecdotes. There's a lot of interesting information. And this is another big milestone in localizing Alexa so that the service is more delightful and entertaining. And we call this as the Desi Alexa. And we have pronunciation and diction that's different even within Hindi. So we are continuing to learn. There are many requests or words that we may not understand just as yet. So we continue to expand understanding in local languages. Customers are being very patient with us, and we totally appreciate it. We take their feedback, and we're taking the time to make sure that Alexa can learn more. And we'll use the latest advancements in ML and neural networks to make sure that Alexa gets smarter. And it's always day one here. So we've got a way to go.
Thanks, Deva. I will continue with you now because how about the changing trends in customer engagement? Have you seen any marked differences between customer engagements with Alexa pre-COVID and during the pandemic?
Oh, absolutely. So I think COVID-19 has definitely changed all our lives. And Alexa is a trusted companion for our customers, and Alexa has had to keep pace as well. So over the last year and a half, as we're all spending more time at home, remotely managing lives, all of the lines between work and play and home has all blurred. Many of our routines have changed. So we needed to sort of set up new routines. And predictably, we saw customers asking for more health-related queries. That was almost a 3 times increase. So we had a question almost every 15 seconds, and questions were on about COVID. We had a symptom checker that we had launched. There was questions on like health benefits of food items, treatments for common ailments, all of which we supported. We saw a lot of interest in workout music as people started thinking about how do you keep yourself going in the pandemic. So we had workout music requests. The 7-minute workout skill just became really popular in March when I think we all wanted to get the most out of the least amount of time. So, and we also saw requests for simple things like, Alexa, remind me to drink water. And it just talks about how much our lives have changed when you need a reminder from Alexa to do something as simple as that. And I think what was most touching for me as a product owner to see is Alexa also got lots of love and affection. And just like you would ask a family member, people were concerned about Alexa's well-being. And almost 3 times every minute, we got asked, Alexa, kaisi ho, or Alexa, how are you? Which is just quite nice to see that people are personifying Alexa.
Hey, thanks, Deepa. Very touching. I think we're almost out of time. Nikhil, you had some very interesting stories about ML at Amazon. What would be your suggestions for youngsters who want to build an aspiring career in AI, ML at Amazon?
Yeah, no, I think it's clear now that ML is one of the most disruptive technologies we will encounter in our generation, and customers today are applying machine learning to the core of their businesses, and this is not only in retail, across the industry, healthcare, retail, media, finance services, manufacturing. Everybody is leveraging machine learning, to help their customers better, serve them better, to gain advantages using machine learning, right? And I think what has changed in machine learning for the past 5-7 years is it's no longer only about science or research, right? We are talking about applied science now, right? And when we get to an application of machine learning, there are a lot more skill sets, a lot more things one needs to be careful about. What is the cost of innovation, deployment? The models deteriorate over time because they are based on data. How do we, have systems which self-improve over time? And so there are a lot of interesting innovations that are being done in this space of machine learning, applied to business problems. So if you're passionate about technology and want to make a difference to customers' life, then I think Amazon is a perfect place for you.
Thanks, Nikhil. Deepa, you must be hiring a lot of people into your Alexa journey, isn't it? So, what would be your suggestion to the younger talent as to who wants to join your team?
We've got a lot of diverse career paths within Alexa. So there's as many roles that index on the left brain as the right brain. So it's not just a world full of research scientists and data engineers, etc. So we've got roles in software development, research, and ML, but we also have roles in research for people who can help us understand what customers want, voice design to create these new interaction paradigms, linguists and language engineers who come and work with us in the language understanding space. And there are a lot of creative roles in content and marketing. So it's a very diverse bag. Our journey is just starting. Alexa in overall is very, very young. There's a lot that we need to understand and create for the customer. So we would love for people who have a true builder's mindset, who are thinking big, curious to learn, unlearn, willing to define and redefine the space for the customer to come and join us.
Thanks, Deepa. Kanishka, you are with AWS and you were mentioning about AWS working very closely with public sector, state government, central government agencies, and particularly during the pandemic. So what will be your suggestion to talent, who would want to work in that space within AWS?
Sure. I think there's something, and probably a lot of people have probably heard this earlier. At AWS, we don't mind being called peculiar. We see a lot of beauty in simplifying very complex tasks, and we're comfortable with being misunderstood in the long term. And that sounds very unorthodox, but our very unusual approach and our culture that's focused on removing obstacles so that builders can build just like Deepa just mentioned, are really a part why our employees enjoy working at AWS. And I want to talk about 3 specific pillars that we are on. Right, we're very, very unusually customer focused. Almost about 90% of what we build is what customers ask us. And the other 10% that we actually build is things that we hear from customers that they may not be able to articulate. But we try and read between the lines and invent on their behalf. The second is that we are pioneers. We like to hire builders who would look at customer experiences that are flawed and then figure out how to reinvent in those. In a space like cloud that's moving this fast, to be working with a company that has the most functionality, that's probably iterating the quickest, that has the largest community, that had a vision for cloud from the start without actually having to patch together acquisitions, I think that's very attractive. And third, most importantly, like I said, we're very, very long-term oriented. You will not see our folks end up at a customer's door just a day before the year end or the end of the quarter and try to get them into a sale, and not to be seen again for the year. We are trying to build a relationship and a business that will last a lot longer than all of us in this room. So for people who like to build, I would say there's absolutely no better place to build than AWS.
Thanks, Kanishka. With that, I think we are almost coming to the end of this panel discussion. I would once again thank my colleagues, the folks on the panel, Nikhil, Deepa, and Kanishka, for sharing the views. I would really like to thank all of you who have logged in for this fantastic session. I'm assuming that it has been a very interesting and very informative session as well. So thanks again, stay tuned, and have a good rest of the day.
Great stuff. So exciting to learn how Amazon is harnessing new technologies to generate a societal impact. What a great way to wrap up our show today. With this, we come to an end of the main stage programming of Amazon India Career Day. Our recruiters will be continuing their one-on-one career coaching sessions for the rest of the day, so many more of you will be able to seek information about the application and interview process at Amazon and discuss resume tips. If you missed any of our programming, you can find it on demand in a few minutes at amazoncareerday.com. Also, you can learn more about the corporate, tech, and operations positions currently available at Amazon at amazon.jobs. We have thousands of positions open right now, and I encourage you to apply. Before we go, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who contributed to making this first ever India Career Day possible. Sincere thanks to our moderators, panelists, employees who shared a plethora of information and trivia with us. Thank you from all of us at Amazon to everyone who joined us today from all over India as well as from other countries. We hope you found the sessions interesting and informative, and there was something for all of you to take away from the sessions. Amazon wishes each and every one of you success in your career journey. Come and build the future with us. I'm Rashi Bishnoi, signing off for Amazon Career Day. Thank you.